welcome back. This is part 3. So we have learned about our autonomic ladder or our polyvagal ladder, top being ventral, middle being our sympathetic, and now we're going to talk about dorsal at the bottom. So this is at the back. So this is like the most primitive part of our brain, right? Where this is the last part to develop, right? So this is our most like kind of higher order functionings. So our executive functioning lives here. So, being able to problem solve and communicate and weigh out and make decisions and that kind of thing. Those are things that are going to be here at the front. Back here, we're this is real basic stuff in terms of how our brain functions, and we are literally just trying to survive because we feel like we're going to die. So just remembering that, because hopefully you are not in a situation where you actually are going to die, but you might feel like it, right? At some point, your nervous system doesn't know the difference, right? Your nervous system, again, is just doing what it knows how to do. So ventral at the front is our regulated, safe and social, safe and sound, rest and digest, all that good stuff. Middle is going to be our fight flight. So back down at the back here is our dorsal. So dorsal, we're going to get really lethargic, slow moving, shut down, numb. It's hard to find words. We're slower processing here. And so we really need to be able to then mobilize. So you might be super shut down, or you might be a little bit shut down. So you need to kind of know where you're at least in a conscious level, to be like, okay, where am I at on my ladder? Just ask yourself that question. Then you're like, oh, I can hardly do anything. I'm probably in freeze, right? So if you are laying down, it can even just start with wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, doing little circles with your feet, right? Kind of just wiggling and moving a little bit. So we're trying to bring mobilization into the body. So we're bringing in movement. And then the other thing that we can do is we're going to connect to our senses, and we're going to maybe do something that helps us to kind of go whoa, a little bit, wake us up. So it might be having a cold glass of water. It might be putting an ice pack on your forehead. It might be sniffing peppermint oil, something like that, that's going to kind of give you a little bit of a jolt, something not too, harsh, but just something that's going to wake you up. And then the other thing is that we're going to change the way that we breathe. So when we're in sympathetic, we're doing that 1 to 2. So we're bringing in that longer exhale to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. Now we're going to do a 1 to 1. So we're going to go in for 3, out for 3, in for 4, out for 4. So the inhale and the exhale are matching. Okay, so that's the way that we breathe when we're at the bottom. And so again, important to change the way that we breathe in response to where we are on the ladder, which is why this is such a good tool. So when we're breathing in and out, that's again creating a bit of energy in our breath, right? So as we're breathing in, we can practice it. We can do for 3 to start with. So we can breathe in for 3 and then out for 3 and then in for 3 and then out for 3. Good. So you can feel the difference if you did the part 2 of the 1 to 2 versus 1 to 1. So this, we're kind of trying to wake ourselves up with movement and with breath. So creating some energy, bringing in some energy, and helping us climb back up the ladder. One thing to remember though is that if you're at the bottom, it's going to take you longer to get back up to the top. So the trip is longer, right? So you're kind of climbing your way up. You can literally imagine it like that. It can help to be okay, I'm at the very bottom right now. This is going to take a little bit more time. Versus if I'm in the middle, the trip is shorter, right? So people that are in fight flight tend to recover a little bit quicker. People that are in freeze takes them a little bit longer. Neither is better or worse, right or wrong, just different. So if you and your partner say, or you and your friend, or you and a parent or whatever, have different ways of typically responding to stress, it might take you different tools to be able to get out of wherever it is that you are, and it might take you different lengths of time. So if you're the fight flight person, slow your roll, give the other person some space and let them get to where they need to get to. If you're a freeze person though, this isn't an excuse to be able to then duck and cover and avoid and shut down for days. That's not cool either. So again, you are responsible for your own emotional regulation. We all are. So knowing your tendencies, knowing what tends to be your go-to, and then having your tools on the ready helps you to not stay stuck for long, but allows you to take care of your nervous system. So as you're climbing out, you might then notice that you're crossing through that sympathetic. So you might find that you're oh, there's a bit more fight flight happening as I'm activated. So now, we've mobilized, now we're in the middle, and now sometimes we'll just kind of keep on going through, but sometimes you might notice a little uptick in anxiety or a little bit more restlessness or some big emotions that weren't there before, that maybe weren't accessible because you were down at the bottom, right? So now again, if we need a little bit of grounding there to keep us headed up to the top again, then you can change up your tools in response to now where you are as you're moving up the ladder. So keep this in your back pocket as a tool to help yourself to be able to regulate, to have some more awareness, to be able to communicate, and take really good care of yourself and your nervous system. All right, thanks everyone.